you heard about the accident that took place at the Pittsburgh Pirates game.
This is the person who fell off of the deck?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Fell off of the railing, yeah.
So the Pirates, and I'm not real happy with the Pirates right now. All right. The Pirates are actually, I think, I mean, there was 4 people there in the group. All right. The 4 people that were there, one of the people was 21. The person who actually fell and hurt themselves was 20. All right. And so I'm sure it's like, they're probably like best friends. They're 20 and 21. Mm-hmm. One can buy alcohol, one cannot. But the Pirates now are pressing charges against the 21-year-old whose friend fell off of the deck. Everybody around him pretty much said he was fine. He just got excited and he fell. He evidently did have 2 drinks. He had 2 beers that this other 21-year-old bought for him. I still have a problem with the drinking age. I think the drinking age still should, and I'm going to get a lot of pushback about this. I think the drinking age, if you can go and fight for our country, then you should be able to drink. If you can legally live on your own and you're responsible for everything else in the world, you should legally drink. I don't understand how all the other laws are 18 you're an adult, except when it comes to drinking. Then it should be for everyone. You know, that you're not an adult until you're 21 then, is my feeling.
Okay.
So he's a responsible adult, but he's now the Pirates. To me, it looks like the Pirates are looking for a reason to not get sued from the rest of the group. And the young man seems to be, his recovery is doing very well. I don't think I would bring it up if that portion of it wasn't
right.
His recovery.
It'd be too soon.
He broke a lot of ribs. He had some lung damage. He hurt himself pretty bad. He fell 21 feet and landed on the field. It was a scary thing, but to go after this guy's best friend, I think is in poor taste to me. I know the law is the law, but it looks to me like they're trying to make this other kid the scapegoat to take whatever responsibility off of themselves.
Well, if the beer seller carded the 21-year-old, that should absolve them of some culpability. But I'll play devil's advocate for you, because for quite some time in New York, I sat on the Coalition Against Underage Drinking in Long Beach. A very, very effective and aggressive organization that was trying to stop kids from drinking underage. And it was more 15, 16-year-olds as well. Yeah. No, I agree. You know, because when I was 18, drinking age was 18. You know, I was in college. There were bars on campus.
I was a little behind each one of those. Like, I had friends that were in school with me. The drinking age was 18, then it went to 19, and then it went to 21. It jumped like that. And I was always a little bit behind that. But I had a full beard, so
you could pass. Right.
Yeah, you're not on that camera right now. We're on the one in the middle.
That's all right. I just, Blake comes in the room, I smile.
Ron Burgundy.
Thank you. Right. Camera?
Blake,
where? Right. Camera?
I lost Lenny because Blake came in the room.
Oh no, I'm with you.
But I mean, it to me, if we're calling him an adult, we try him as an adult at 18. There's everything. You're driving a vehicle. You're doing all these things, and we're considering you being responsible. I think that's where it should be. I think alcohol is a terrible thing for an 18-year-old, but also if you're going to give them all the other responsibilities, why is that the one? Well, and gambling's the same way.
Yeah,
gambling's the same way. You can go out, you can earn, you can get a mortgage, you can do all this stuff, but you can't place a bet until you're 21.
There you go.
So
theoretically, you can't buy a lottery ticket until you're 21.
And that's where I'm saying. But in this particular incident, I'm feeling like the Pirates, and I'm not a Pirate hater. My papa was a Pirate fan, and I like the Pirates. And in the 70s, the Pirates were a lot of fun. They were a fun team, even with their cocaine.
Without putting an opinion on, I will play devil's advocate for you. There is severe scientific notation that the brain is not fully developed until 25.
Uh-huh.
And if you introduce alcohol into it, it has effects on the development of the brain. Now, by the time you're 23, 24, I don't know how much alcohol is going to do it as opposed to when you're 15, 16 and the brain is still developing. But it's been proven that the brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25.
I 100% agree that alcohol is not good. And if you start drinking at that age, it's not good for you. I agree with those things.
Yeah.
But we can't call them an adult and then treat them like children.
Okay.
I mean, and that's,
there's a second leg of that stool that's called social host legislation.
Okay.
And that could apply here in theory, but it would be the pirates that would be the social host, or it was the person who gave the beer. But if you're having a house party, Blake's 17, you're having a house party, you got a house full of 17-year-olds over, you're going, it's in my house, they're under supervision, they're not out on the street, they're safe, they're not driving, blah, 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 all well and good. If you provide alcohol, you are culpable because you are the social host.
I can understand that.
And there's a lot of that.
Especially at 17.
Right.
And the drinking age is 21. I would not would not do that. But
no, nor am I saying that you would, or Blake would have a wild ass party without inviting me.
Yeah. Because he's known for his parties.
I understand that. Yeah. And I'm a little offended that he hasn't invited me to one yet.
His white parties are off the chain.
We got to go to the Hamptons for that, man. I'm going to leave that one alone for the time being. That's still too soon.
But you understand my conflict.
Correct. Absolutely.
In our society, and when you say these things, he can go to war
sure
at 18, but he can't. Well, they have concessions that they're allowed to drink on base and stuff like that. They have concessions for those type of things for kids that are in the military, and they're still kids to me. I'm not saying, but they still can't gamble. They still can't do a lot of things. And you're 100% right. Your brain doesn't finish. You don't even have a fear of dying really in your brain until you're about 25.
Well, and see, that's part of the problem. I also had a charity back in New York through my restaurants called Du Jour, where we did HIV and AIDS education because, 15 and 16-year-old kids think they're immortal, that they're not going to die, and they don't understand the ramification of some of their behavior. And it's tough to get that message across to a person of that age because, it's not going to happen to me. I'm a young kid. I'm strong. Yeah. They don't realize that there's other factors at play.
And I was that person. I was that person. Blake's always had a caution level that I've never had, and I still don't to this day. But he innately always had. I mean, he was always my safety monitor.
Your conscience.
My conscience. But I mean, in this particular scenario, kid's 21. You still need to look at how this happened and don't just say, oh, it's because he had some beers. And, I understand it's under investigation, and the rule is what the rule is today.
Right.
But I'm not, I look at it as the Pirates looking at a way to get away from a pretty hefty lawsuit.
Why do you feel that the Pirates did something wrong? Or the Pittsburgh Stadium did something wrong?
Oh, I don't know if they did or didn't. But they're the ones that are pursuing his friend that bought the beer from him.
Okay, as opposed to a legal authority.
Yeah,
the cops or the
they're the ones that's pushing.
Okay,
for that. Oh, well, this wouldn't have happened if his friend hadn't given him beer.
Possibly. But who knows?
Yeah.
He could have been just a chuckle. And what happens if
maybe it wouldn't have happened if your rail was an inch higher?
There you go.
So I mean,
right. If he was leaning back to catch a foul ball and went over off balance.
No. He was excited about the play. I mean, you can see him. He's in dead center field.
Okay.
Like if you want to pull up the video, so people that aren't aware of what the accident looks like. Okay. To me, it doesn't look. It looks like he just got real excited and lost his balance.
Right.
And 2 beers. You shouldn't be driving. I agree with that. Yeah. But at 2 beers, you shouldn't be falling over unless you just absolutely lost your balance.
I don't know how big this kid was, whether he was a small person or a big person. Doesn't matter.
He looked average size. Right. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's a camera behind home plate.
Right.
Going to center field. Yeah. So, but this other kid, evidently bought the beers for the group, and he did it twice, and each one of them had 2 at the time of when the accident happened. Blake, did you find the video yet?
I did, yeah.
You're trying to get it loaded up right now?
Yeah.
How do you judge who has common sense? That's the question, Kenny.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
You know.
Yeah, and he's got, how old do you have to be to? Oh, that depends on your prescription here in Florida. But
right.
You know what? I think it is 21.
I think so.
In most of the states where it's legal.
Yeah.
So okay, here it is. He's in dead center field.
Boom! Ouch.
Yeah.
Wow.
So play it one more time, Blake, so people can see. Look at center field right there.
Follow the falling fan.
Yeah. So I mean, he just got, everyone around is like, he got real excited, lost his balance, and then went tumbling over. You know, so it's
that's a super rough fate. I do not. I know he's fine now. He's making a recovery, but just seeing that again is like, it was rough.
Well, they didn't know. I mean, he was in critical condition. I mean, he was in bad shape. I think one of his lungs possibly collapsed also. So he was in pretty bad shape. So I mean, I'm not trying to take away from that. And I hope the kid to full recovery. But it's always been an argument for me. We expect them to be out of the house and be responsible adults. They are considered adults in every criminal court. If you're over the age of 18, you're considered an adult. But then again, you're not allowed to do what adults do.
But alcohol consumption will change your behavior.
It will at 18, and it will at 21, and it will at
45.
It will at 58. It will at whatever age you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're considered an adult, you should, in my opinion, have adult privileges if the ramifications against you are as an adult.
Okay.
So I think our laws contradict each other, and I'm saying right now, I don't think 18-year-olds should drink. But you know what? We treat them as adults, then that's how it's going to be. I mean, and was alcoholism worse when you were 18 and you were allowed to drink, or is it worse now?
Oh, I think it was worse earlier, like in let's say the 50s and 60s, you know, before I was even close to drinking. I think, you know, fortunately cars were made out of steel at that point in time, and they weren't made out of plastic. But people that, you know, there was no compunction about drinking and driving back in those days. You know, it was a whole different world, and it was, you know, it was a little bit slower, but the cars were bigger, heavier, and protected you. Perish the thought you ran into somebody or something. If you were, you know, ran into somebody, it wasn't good for them. You ran into something, you know, the survivability was a little bit better at the time.
Yeah.
But I'd also say about like our current drinking generation, like for us young people, like there's a lot more like additives and like chemicals that are in like beer, seltzers, like with the rise of like White Claws, High Noons, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like but there definitely is like there's definitely like disadvantages like both sides to alcohol.
But the percentage of kids that drink today is way lower than where it was at.
Well, it's because there's an alternative, which is called marijuana.
Yeah.
And
marijuana was always there.
It wasn't as readily available, and you weren't getting it. Well, maybe you were.
I don't know which crowd you were walking.
Maybe you were.
But if I wanted a joint, I could just go, hey, give me one. Or hey, what are you carrying? You carrying? Yeah. Boy. And that didn't mean a gun at that time. That
exactly.
I mean, did you have some weed?
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's, you know, it was the same. So I just, like I said, do I think 18-year-olds should drink? No, but we treat them as adults.
Right.
Then if they're going to be adults, they deserve the same privileges. So, all right, moving on.
Okay.
All right, I think we beat that horse.
Oof.
Did that horse stop neighing?
But now I'm thirsty. I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah.
He is now on us.
Is that a bad note?
Peter just called in on that last statement for me. Sorry about that. I just dropped all our algorithms.